Shepherds of Men is a secular movement started by three men of faith. We wholeheartedly believe that when we get the men right, we get the world right. We believe this because we believe that men are created and called to be leaders, and we believe there is an alarming deficit of leadership in our world today.
And although the three of us have come from drastically different backgrounds, our core principles have given us a unified voice that is needed now more than ever to pave the way for a fundamental change in our culture.
We are quite literally calling men to something great.
Welcome to the movement.
What's going on, world? It's Cam coming at you with Shepherds of Men. I just felt like doing like that to the camera because I'm excited.
Makes you powerful,
I
right?
feel like
Hitler did that, didn't he?
He did one arm. He was half as good as me.
No. I mean, he was really good at the whole body language.
Like
with
directing
it, right?
airplanes?
Oh, the whole body language, all of it.
True.
Like
that's true.
Well,
there's a lot of science. We've talked about that. There's a lot of science behind
that.
There's
a lot of science.
Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
We're in the studio. Man, it feels good to be in the studio. We have, I feel like we haven't been in here in a long time.
It's been too long.
Too long. We have had some time around each other, but like we haven't done this in a minute. And I'm excited. I've been excited all week for this. We've got a great message that we're going to be bringing to you tonight. I got my boys, JP, Wilson,
what's going
in the
on?
house. We're in the Rank Studios with Mr. Odin, the one and only, the wizard. We're actually going to do. I think we're going to be recording 3 episodes tonight. They're all going to be power packed. I know kind of a little bit of the topics of the other 2. I definitely know the topic of mine. And we've been talking, as we always do, for literally our producer had to say, okay, let's go ahead and get started. Because we have been standing here talking for an hour and a half. And don't tell my wife that because she's like, why is it taking y'all so long? Well, it's pregame.
It's planning.
Yeah.
It's planning. Exactly right. We get in the flow. We have the rhythm.
A lot of discussions.
Exactly.
What we have to think about.
Catch up on things and then and then wing it. So
that's exactly how it goes, right?
But no, so we're glad you're joining us on this episode. It's going to be awesome. We did want to update you on a couple things. We know the last 6 episodes we've been talking about the Men Reforged program and the ethos of an influential man, and we had been saying through that was going to launch when that was over, and that was the intention. That was and not the whole intentions, or whatever, paid the hell and all those things. Like we had a real actual plan. But there's been some things that have caused a little bit of delays, and we had 2 options. We could rush through it and shortcut it and do it the wrong way and launch it close to when we said we were going to launch it, or we could take an extra couple of 3 weeks. I think that's really max what we're extra 2 or 3 weeks past what we expected to really launch that program the right way. So that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to spend some time down in Texas with one of our partners, Jeannie Rocket and Brad and those guys there, which is going to be really productive, and we're going to do it right. We're going to do it the right way. So
I'm glad you said that because ultimately the goal is not to launch something. The goal is to impact people that need it.
Yep.
And ultimately, I was in a position a long time ago that I needed somebody to speak into me and teach me some of the concepts that we're teaching with the Men Reforged program. And I'm glad they didn't shortcut it.
Exactly.
So I'm glad you said something about that.
Well, that's what it comes down to. I mean, we know this is a long play for us. Mm-hmm. This is our calling on our life. This is our mission, one of our missions. And there's no reason that 2 to 3 weeks does not determine how effective or ineffective that is. It can if we rush it, right. But I know we all feel better about doing it the right way, and then everybody else is going to get way more out of it too. So, but stay tuned. I know, just chill out. It's going to be amazing. keep checking things out. We did just release, by the way, this past week, a really awesome video that we did with Rise Up Cooperative. If you haven't checked that out, appreciate O for editing that and getting it up online for us on YouTube. You can go to our YouTube channel and subscribe still. We're really close to getting our own personalized link. So you guys, if you just go there and subscribe, you will get cool stuff. Not like presents, like Amazon's not going to show up with boxes or anything, but you'll just get a cool experience of hanging out with us and learning lots of things. But we appreciate Rise Up for what they're doing, and that relationship is developing a lot too. There's a lot of cool things coming down. I think you're going in to speak for them soon or something, doing a workshop for him or something down the pipe, right?
Yep. I will be as soon as this baby gets here.
Oh yeah, JP's having a baby. By the day that you guys hear this, JP, he won't be having.
Yeah, I won't be having.
His wife will be doing all the work.
A little girl.
Yeah,
JP did his job.
Yeah, thank God she stepped in right there because I don't know if we'd made it. I'd be like, just keep it in there, just leave it in there. I'm not ready.
So, even scheduled C-section.
Yeah, right.
That's good.
Yeah. As you're hearing this, they're in the hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool. So you guys say a quick prayer for Josh and Dina and their family, for a beautiful little Aniston that'll be here, and just a prayer for the parents to raise that girl the right way, especially because it's a girl.
Man, absolutely, dude. Front to back. That's the first thing I got to figure out.
I still don't even know what you're talking about. I got all boys too. So. Oh man, I'm nervous that you're having a girl. I don't even know why.
My palms are sweating right now. Yeah, like I was good until you started talking about having a little girl.
If you faint, we are standing up, so don't pass out.
We'll figure it out. I promise. I'll figure it out, just like I did everything else.
Yeah, we're going to talk about figuring it out. By the way,
damn right.
Last little plug: shepherdsof.men is our website. You can find all our stuff there. Obviously on all our platforms at Shepherds of Men with Facebook, Instagram, and all that jazz. So check those things out. Tell a friend, bring a friend. Use one. Share one, something. I don't know. Be one. I don't know what it's called. It doesn't rhyme, but
shampoo thing, right?
Is it a shampoo thing? Oh,
wash, rinse,
dude. Have y'all seen? Okay, so I got a 15-year-old son.
Absolutely.
So occasionally, you're like, it takes 6 months to go through soap because he doesn't ever bathe. But they got 2-for-1 shampoo or 2-in-1, which is shampoo, conditioner. Then it became 3-in-1, so it's shampoo, conditioner, and body wash.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
I'm thinking, how brilliant for dudes, because we don't give a shit.
No.
Anyways, I mean, I'll use the conditioner for body wash if that's all that's in there. I'm not going to get out and get some soap. I promise you that. And now they got like 4-in-1. I don't even know what's in there. Is it like it's like beard oil or something? I don't know what it is, but it's like basically like anything you would ever need in one in this bottle if you're a dude. Squirt it on top of your head.
I'm just picturing a bunch of guys walking around all greased up. I'm like, how the hell you gonna forget to grease your ass today, man?
I mean, I don't know if it's like tanning lotion in there.
Who knows,
dude?
I've never heard of 4-to-1.
Maybe
it was at least 4-to-1
or something. Who knows?
And now, granted, it was probably a marketing thing. It's like it does these 10 things, which is the same thing that shampoo does. But we just labeled it.
Yeah,
right. So we could charge you $1 more.
Yeah.
Anyways, so marketing.
That's funny.
Luckily, we're privileged and we can afford it. So, I got my first. We talked about it.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Good for you, man.
One thing I'm going to mention moving forward, I have been convicted as of this morning, not this morning, but the morning we recorded, I have been convicted of not being bold enough.
Yep.
Okay? As straightforward as we are, in my opinion, we're not straightforward enough. I don't think we just need to be opinionated assholes, but I do believe that we don't need to sugarcoat anything, and we don't need to really hold back. I think the privilege stuff is a bunch of BS, just like I think some of the other stuff is a bunch of BS, but I just happened to have that conversation today where I became privileged because I'm from Lewin, Mississippi. There's a lot of privilege in Lewin, Mississippi.
Well, I heard one of the coolest things that I've heard in a long time. It was before the truth will set you free, it'll piss you off. So it's okay to be mad, but it doesn't make it any less true. Yeah. Maybe you should listen to
I told this person, I was like, I was actually having a real conversation with you, but I think you're just bitter. Yeah. So we'll just move along. So anyways.
Look like you're weaned on a pickle.
Yeah, something's wrong with you. It's like you gotta stop watching the news or something.
Oh man, what?
Yeah, I mean they're usually pretty accurate, but
okay, all the time.
So what I want to talk about, I don't even really know what to title this, honestly. But you guys know, I've been doing more with the social media stuff recently. Y'all had to convert me to even get back on social media when we started Shepherds of Men because I had zero interest, and still most of the time I wish I'd never had. But from time to time, something really valuable comes through there if you dig deep enough. And I don't mind. This is on Order of Man, which is another great podcast. Order of Man. I apologize. I can't think of the dude's name now that launched that right now. But check it out, man. As we always say, we're not the only party in town. And they have legit information. They do some cool things. And they've got a Facebook group. You can go to ours page first. But then, after you look at ours, go to Order of Man. And this was a post that somebody put on there. It's by a guy named Doug. I would say his last name, but I would butcher it. So Doug A is what we'll call it.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, so there's a picture of, and can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a picture of, for those of you that don't know who that is, it's Nolan Ryan. And you should pick up a book every now and then. It's Nolan. It's like one of the greatest baseball players to ever live. I mean, just y'all know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, he's the best wide receiver I've ever seen.
yeah, right there. He's catching one in the end zone. So, no, great pitcher. Pitched for the Astros for a little while. Pitched for the Texas Rangers. May have pitched somewhere else. I don't remember.
Tough as nails.
Just tough. And I think now he was a GM with the Rangers for a little while, something like that. This picture is the caption there is he's 43-year-old Nolan Ryan once took a Bo Jackson. So if you don't know who that is, like one of the greatest athletes to ever live. Injuries cut his career short, but he was a pro baseball and pro football player and was incredible in both of them. Like he wasn't kind of good in both of them. He was really good in both of them. But he took a Bo Jackson hit off the face got Bo out. So number one, he took a major league hit off the face. So like, I don't know how far is it from home plate?
90 feet.
90 feet from home. No, I thought that was the first base.
I thought it was 90 feet.
Whatever it is, it ain't far enough to take a baseball that just got hit off of a pro baseball player's bat.
Right.
He got Bo out, which means it hit his face. He picked it up. I don't think he caught it with his face, but he picked it up and threw it to first and got him out. Then stayed in the game for another 17 outs. So for those that aren't familiar with baseball, that means he had to get at least 3 strikes or get somebody out at first or whatever for 17 more times. Which is, I don't know how many innings.
60 feet, 6 inches. Sorry, I was close.
60 feet.
6 inches.
That's close. So he struck out 8. He struck out 8 in 7 innings.
Yep, 7 innings.
Look at you.
Yep.
Of all the people in this room that I thought would have figured that out, it wasn't the South Florida.
3 outs an inning. So
Okay, well, good math. Striking out 7 innings while licking his own blood. If you can see in the picture, there's literally blood all over his jersey, blood on his face. I mean, he obviously took the baseball to the mouth.
Ouch.
No, sir, they don't take them out. They don't make them like this anymore. Okay, so that was the picture and what was written in the picture. So let me read, and I say forgive me for reading, but this is worth it, and I don't want to miss anything because when I read this, it was one of those times when you're reading something and you feel that like that tingle inside that just makes you, I don't know, it's motivating, it's inspiring. It kind of makes you angry because you see where things are missing in today's society, or it's just not this same mentality. Not that everybody was like Nolan Ryan, not that everybody necessarily needs to be like Nolan Ryan, but we feel like that if more men had this kind of mentality, we'd probably be in a much better place.
Hold on, before you go into that, so just to give you some context on a baseball coming off of a major league batter's bat. So they generally travel about 110 miles an hour. So a major league baseball has an average mass of 5.125 ounces and a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, which Nolan Ryan throws a lot faster than that.
He throws 100. Yep.
And Bo Jackson tends to hit a lot harder than that, can leave the bat at 110 miles per hour. And that, when you just do the calculations of it, imparts 4,145 pounds of force to the ball. So he just took 4,000 pounds to the face.
In a surface area, that big
right,
yeah.
Just to give you some...
Just let somebody throw a baseball at you as hard as they can from 60 feet away. It'll hurt, and it won't even be close to what that was.
Yeah.
So, when's the last time you actually picked up an actual fresh baseball?
Oh, they're
hard as hell. Solid, dude.
Today I tripped over one.
Compared to a softball, I mean, it's a
John's
totally
like, I rolled my
game.
ankle in a baseball, and I sat out 3 innings.
Yeah.
Legos, baseballs, whatever. I roll my ankle on everything nowadays.
Those freaking Legos
They're brutal, dude.
They will injure you for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, especially if you're barefooted.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I really feel like
so
a
this
bitch.
was the post. Nolan makes it sound like a bitch.
He's licking blood off. I'm laying on the floor sucking my toe.
He's like, yes, sir. Give me another. I got a 6 block in my heel. I'm like,
was it a thick or thin?
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Depends on how it's sitting, I guess. So here's what this guy Doug wrote. He said, "Grit, Nolan Ryan. Consider the psychological and emotional value of continuing through pain, even through injury. You know you're hurt." Now here's where it really got me, because it was, you think about, well, I'll get through this, but you think about David Goggins as I'm talking about this. Your opponents know you're hurt. You know how bad it is. They don't. You're bleeding and licking it visibly. They're not. They're fresh. And your game, your focus goes up, not down. You know you're winning. They know they can't beat you. You know, he talks about taking souls when he's going through training with his instructors. Like, you get to a point where the instructor literally goes, I can't kill this guy. You know? This is an invaluable skill. Skill is brain wiring in action. And the formula is this. Brain wiring equals frequency of repetition over time, amplified by emotional significance. Injury is not a setback, it's an opportunity. Now, we've talked about this a lot, like failing forward and those kinds of things. And I've always believed it. I've always believed you got to fail if you're going to get better. Matter of fact, on our YouTube video that came out with the Attitude Matters Rise Up Cooperative collaboration we did that came out last week, we talk about this. We talk about this mentality of, like, get used to it. Take some L's, right? It's part of it. And it'll make you better. But this is not even just it'll make you better. It's an opportunity to really reach another level, is what he talks about. So now considering being on the coaching and medical staff with this athlete, or being the parent of the young and developing version of this athlete, do you pull him off the mound and send him in for stitches? Do you listen when he tells you he's got this? if he's a little rattled, but you know he can get through it, and you know what it will do for him if he does, do you tell him, you've got this, stay here and get it done? Think about that for a second if you're a coach or a parent. And that convicted me too. I was like, am I too quick to go, all right, let's check this out, sit down a minute, whatever? Or I think with my little one, I'm like, suck it up, go again.
Yeah.
Dude, we were running like Navy SEAL drills on the beach last weekend. Like I got to tell you about running up the burns and stuff. And Cash is just like, just crawling. We went to the doctor today, by the way, just for a checkup. He's in the 30 percentile in height.
Nash is 45.
Dude.
Yeah, Nash is
little
below
pocket
average.
Hercules, man. There are times when you must not protect the athlete, the developing human, from the fight they are capable of delivering. There are times when the best thing you can do for them and for your team is to see them as being capable and stay out of their way. Sometimes stitches can wait. Pain is temporary, but the pride of an achievement lasts forever. The athlete can draw on that strength for a lifetime, and everyone around him can draw on his example. Lead, follow, or stay, and I was going to say, the hell out of the way. So think about that. Like, there's times to just, like, let it bleed. Like, how much more are you getting out of, I can suck it up and be in major pain, but what I will learn from this, and we've done that. You did an open recently with CrossFit. I did the 4x4 by 48 Goggins challenge recently. My mom asked me about that, and she's like, and we did the trail run before that, and she's like, do you feel like you like owe a penance for something? Like, why? I'm like, and she meant it. Like, I was like, no. Like, I feel like if I don't do something like this, I can't get better. Like, I want
myself something. Yeah.
It's for me. It's not for anybody. Like, there's another level. When you get to a level where it's just pure pain and you keep going, you realize I'm more of a badass than I thought I was.
I'm a bad motherfucker and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the people around you too. You raise people up though.
Yeah.
Because you see it. We've all seen it. When we stretch ourselves to another level, other people, you strengthen your backbone, everybody else gets a stiffer backbone too. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep. No, for sure.
I agree.
Rising tide rises all ships. Right. It's the same kind of thing.
Well, association, like we talk about in the Men Reforged program, that's going to be a big part of it. You're not going to be able to hang out if you're a putz. Like we don't need people like that because we understand how important association is, and we're going to talk about competition too because that's something that I believe is really important to drive people to their really beyond where they think they can be. Yep. But that's a big part of it. When you have people around you that are like, I guarantee you, the shortstop that was playing behind Nolan Ryan didn't let shit get past him.
Right.
He sees his pitcher licking the blood off his face. That dude ain't letting shit get by him.
Everybody tries harder.
Guaranteed.
Well, just that one act has served him well in his career, but also has been now a go-to to say, hey, this is what it looks like. Mm-hmm. So you were talking about toward the end. You take them out, you lose that opportunity to be able to stretch themselves and gain so much more than just their own personal victory, but also stretching someone else to say, hey, you got more in your tank too.
Yep.
Well, it tells a lot about who you are too. Like, so ultimately, one of the things like what you were talking about, you did stuff for you, right? Because it builds character. Stuff like that builds character in you. And that's the best way to build character. Character is not a fake thing. Character is something that you build through adversity, things of that nature. And I always think about that book. I think it was in Warrior Ethos. I can't remember which one it was. But they were talking about how Alexander was losing his group. Like they were starting to get tired and fatigued and stuff like that from the battles and everything. And then he stood in front of them and took his shirt off and had scars all over him from where like arrows had hit him and blades had hit him and stuff like that. And it was a rejuvenated team after that because everybody looked at it and went, like, we're following a beast. Yeah. Like, we are following
with us.
a guy that is an absolute beast. And if he can do that, then we can do half of it at least.
Absolutely.
And here's my opinion, which I think is factual.
Opinion fact. Our society has been pussified because not enough men, and we talk about this all the time. We've been talking about it since we launched this thing. Not enough men have decided that I'm not going to be a little bitch today. And you can get offended by that if you want to get offended by it. It has nothing to do with a woman or the word or anything else. Use whatever word you want to use. It's a female dog, though.
It is a female dog.
So if we want to be technical.
We got a lot of dudes that are on all fours and they're hairy.
That's exactly right.
And
There you go.
it's actually not a bad description of what's
Yeah,
going
absolutely.
on.
Yeah,
You know?
no, it-
And they're typically taking it.
Yep.
So
and good position.
they're taking life. They're not attacking life. So that, in my opinion, is what's happening. I know the feminists are going to be pissed. The liberals are going to be pissed.
Good.
Everybody's going to be pissed, and I don't care, because if you spend all your life getting pissed about things, you're not the person that's standing out there going, "I'll take a baseball to the face and keep going. I don't give a shit."
Yep.
And what I would imagine, I didn't see that, but I've seen a lot of stuff with Nolan Ryan and his mentality and his demeanor and all that kind of stuff. I would imagine he didn't even really make a big show of it.
Yeah.
I would imagine he got hit, it sucked, and he stood up and started pitching. And he didn't sit there and now, Lord have mercy, and we're talking about sports, but this could apply to any area of life. But it drives me insane to see something will happen. You get a little twisted ankle or something when you're playing basketball or you're running, and people will just milk it and milk it and milk it, and then they'll post it on Facebook, and they'll make sure they show everybody what happened. And it's like, why do we need attention so bad? Like, the only attention that we should be concerning ourselves with as men is our children, our next generation, and anybody else that's watching us as an influencer, not as a social media influencer, just as a male leader. Anybody that's paying attention, watching us, like, that's the attention that I want. But I want it to be something where Josh just said, I'm getting myself better, knowing that that's necessary and good for me, but also knowing that it's not just for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, somebody else is watching too.
What's the whole concept of you have to work on yourself before you can deal with other people? Like that put your mask on before you put it on your kid in the plane. And
Are you saying I should throw a baseball at my kid's face?
Absolutely. But hit your face first.
Yeah,
This is what happened to Daddy.
This is what Daddy did. I used to have to walk to school uphill both ways.
Yeah.
But no,
Shit, baby's unconscious.
baby's down. Baby's down.
Don't tell Tanya.
Yeah.
No, but I believe you're right, though. There is a certain level of pussification in society today, especially in men. And I think that's one of the reasons for it. Like you said, the feminists can be pissed off about stuff, and that's fine. You can be pissed off all you want to. It doesn't make it any less true.
It's popular now, so that gets attention too. Being pissed is the thing to do.
And I truly believe that some of the reason that the whole feminist movement has happened and this whole crisscross and whatever's going on is because men have become pussified.
Sure.
So they have to step up into that role, because that role is going to be filled regardless, whether you fill it or somebody else does. And we've talked about that before with your kids. If you're not present, you're not in your kid's life, they will find somebody to emulate.
Yep.
Well, there's no rite of passage anymore. So as what makes you a man? Just because you got a dick and balls? I mean,
Well,
we should
definitely had a
certainly
beard.
start there,
right?
we should really get back to that.
Well, I see where you're going with that. That's not where I was headed toward.
Trust the
yes,
science,
that's
right?
true.
Makes you a male.
Trust the
You
biology.
You have
Male.
XYZ chromosomes. That's you can only
XYZ. There's no Z.
There's only a male and female. That's it.
No, there is an X. There's a Z now.
Is there a Z?
No.
For real?
Xenon.
Oh,
Xen-
well, whatever the true things are. I don't know. I'm not a science guy. But anyway, there's not a rite of passage is what I was trying to say. Is that whenever you come in to become a man, there's nothing to go out there to see what you're capable of or what you're made of. Athletics and sports are the closest thing that we have that could stretch you to see what you're made of. And a lot of these guys come out of college probably not playing sports, going straight into a cubicle desk and clicking away for the rest of their lives. They're not accomplishing much.
Well, they're
they
not stretching
see
themselves.
fulfilled.
They're not fulfilled. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't feel fulfilled because that's not what we were designed to do. We're designed to go fight and destroy stuff and
stuff.
I mean, back in the day, you had to. If you didn't know how to use a sword, you would get owned.
You burn it down, build it up.
Yeah.
Burn it down, build it up.
That's it. And that diversity or that adversity, I should say, is what really makes you who you are and what you can, see that you can do in the future. And something like that would challenge most people.
Yep.
And they would puss out, or
But that's another thing that constitutes that leadership factor, right?
Right.
Like we've talked about in the past, you don't have to be a leader of a Major League Baseball team that's going to, the Super Bowl. That was for you, Wilson.
Yes,
I love you, buddy.
I do know the differences.
I know
To
how
some
much
degree.
a field goal is in baseball.
I usually have to think about it a couple of times before I actually spit it out, just to make sure.
How many points do you get for a field goal in baseball?
None. No such thing.
Oh, my stomach hurts. Oh, that's good. So, but in all actuality, though, I mean, that's the biggest difference between leadership and management, like we've talked about in the past. Yeah. You know, the leaders lead from the front, you know, and as a father, the leader, the dad that comes in, he's got busted knuckles, he's tired, he's whatever, but he still comes in, he plays with his kids. He does what needs to be done and stuff. And it may suck at the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not the guy that comes in and is like, all right, I can't wait to wash dishes and play with my kids and do the house stuff and everything. Like, that's not me, but I understand it's a responsibility. It's something that I need to do. And from my kids' perspective, as they grow, they're going to look at that and go, dude, like, I know Dad put in a day today. He hit the gym, he worked hard, you know, he's got all this other stuff on him and everything, but it never stopped him from coming in and being the man in the house. Like, he came in, he was where he needed to be. And that's a difference in leadership. And that's where you see the great people separate themselves from everybody else. And you don't have to be the president of the United States to be great. You can be great in your house. How many great people have been created by great fathers?
Right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
it.
Way more than presidents, I'm sure, you know? So a couple things you said there. And I don't mean this to. Sometimes we have to use our own examples because that's what we know. So that's the only reason I'm saying this. But
You're going to self-edify right now.
I'm going to self-edify the hell out. I'm the greatest there ever was. I am the greatest. I sting like a butterfly and smell like a bee or something. I like honey. I put lightning in jail. So I'm
so bad I make medicine sick.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I wanted to say to the women that are listening, because we have a lot of lady listeners, and the role that you can play with this. So let me step back a little bit. Not all of us are going to be in a position where we can get hit in the face with a baseball or have an injury that gives us that opportunity to suck it up, so to speak, or tough it out and have our kids see that. But where you can do that is what Josh was talking about. You can work your ass off for whatever you do for a job or a career or business and come home and work your ass off to be a good dad and a good husband. And early on, they might not recognize that, but as they get older, they will. And I can tell you from experiences, I look back, I do, you know, I look back and I see what my dad did and the example he was. And it didn't matter if I recognized it then, it set a bar for me. It set an example. So one thing is you can choose, as my buddy Phil would say, to suffer. You can choose to suffer because we live a very convenient life. We've got it made. Y'all can bitch and complain all you want to about America and all the things. We got it made, man. The poor people here are freaking wealthy compared to the rest of the world. So we need to intentionally put some things in our life that make us suffer. And really the most common and probably easiest way to do that is through physical exercise, you know? So whatever your thing is, it doesn't matter the type, but find something that stretches you physically because it will, when you're suffering physically, you have to become better if you're going to get through it. And if you can do that in front of your kids or where they see the repetition there or whatever, then that's going to have that same result, in my opinion, as what this had with getting busted in the mouth. And you just suck it up and keep doing it. Right? That's another one of the reasons we do some of the stupid challenges we do. I want to see my kids. I want them to see it. You know, I want them to go, why in the hell is my dad doing that? Just because I want to be better than somebody else's dad. Not personally. I just want you to go, that's my freaking hero. Yeah. You know, but for the ladies, and this is at our house, we pray with our kids at night before we go to bed. One thing my wife does, and she started doing this a while back, and I'm just so appreciative because I know she does it for the actual prayer. I know she actually is talking to God and praying these things, but she's also doing it so my kids will hear her saying it, is she edifies me in that prayer and says, thank you for Daddy for going out and working so hard for our family and for coming home and doing these things and doing and providing this so we can do this and do that. And she's saying those things so my kids can go, oh yeah.
That's next level kind of stuff.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, so that's edification of my wife, but I just want to say to the ladies, if you can do that, number one, it makes your husband feel like a champion. Like that really will get you, like it'll get you in the right place, you know, and go, okay, all right, it's worth it. Exactly. Right there is where it gets you.
Yeah.
So that's after the prayer. Then we're just saying hallelujah, amen. Different room, obviously. Kids are asleep.
Well, mommy and daddy are going to go pray now.
We've actually got to go pray together. But then the other thing is my stepson, in our current house, I don't have an office, and I want to fix that at some point. But I do a lot of paperwork and things like that in the evenings, because I come home and then I'm dedicated to the family until people start going to bed, and then I'm doing business work and whatever. And I'm on the bar in the kitchen/living room open space we have there, and he comes in there and he's like, "Why is it like most every night you're sitting here?" He's like, "Are you working?" Like, I don't know why it took him this long to realize this. He is 15 and
Well, he just got a job, didn't he?
his brain,
So, maybe.
But he's like,
what's else?
huh?
What's
what's
else?
else, dude? It's so. Sometimes it's just like I don't even know if you're kidding. Like I feel better if you were just kidding with me right now,
Right.
but you're not. Okay. But he's like, "Are you working?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Why?" I'm like, and it was him and his buddy. When it was 10 o'clock at night, whatever, and his buddy was in the neighborhood, was over there, and they were coming in to grab a bowl of cereal. I was like, and he said, "So why?" I said, "So anytime you want to leave your room and stop playing your video game and walk in here and grab a bowl of cereal, it's there. And so your buddy that stays over here all the time can do the same thing, and you never have to worry about it. That's why." And he was like, he kind of stopped for a minute, and again, I was kind of like, "Why are you just realizing this?" And he stopped for a minute, and he goes, and he sincerely looked at me. We don't have many sincere moments, he and I. And he sincerely looked at me and said, "Thank you." And I was like, "Well, hell, you're welcome."
Have another bowl.
Yeah, eat 2 bowls. Get some of my cereal.
Make me one.
Yeah, exactly. While you're at it. But, my point of that is, like, even if you think it's not being recognized, like, and that's not suffering like bleeding out of your mouth.
Right.
But I will tell you, there's a lot of things I would rather do than sit and do paperwork at 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
So to a degree, there's some suffering, right? I mean, that is not ideal necessarily. It is necessary, but it's not ideal. So, I just wanted to throw that in there with what Josh was talking about, because it does make a difference, and people are paying attention.
Well, and it is though, and I think that's where a lot of people miss it. And it's like we talk about, progression and growing as a human being is not hard. It's a challenge, but it's not like a difficult thing to do. It's very simple. But the little things like that, people just don't do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want, it's 10 o'clock and I don't want to do the paperwork. Then they don't get the sale. Then they don't get the thing done.
Yep.
Then and people don't understand that. And then they turn around and they become victims and
right. Somebody else's fault.
Whatever. But the little things like that, I don't think that we should ever underplay that kind of stuff, because those little things like that are what make you into who you are. That guy that's sitting over there in the big mansion with all the money and stuff, all he did was decided to do the little shit when it was inconvenient.
Yep.
That was the biggest difference between him and the guy that's eating Beanie Weenies. That's the big, and nothing against Beanie Weenies, they're great. But the difference between those two guys is really the little things. Like that's what it is, and I don't think we should ever underplay that kind of stuff. But I mean, I think that's a really good example of where that'll stick with him. Right now he's seen it, now he understands it. And you had to simplify it, obviously, to say, "Hey, dude, the cereal you're eating wouldn't be there if I wasn't doing this," kind of thing, And that's
the unlimited supply of groceries that just always show up.
Sometimes you got to meet them where they're at.
Well, typically when I'm working late at night like that to get a sale, I just want to make sure I still qualify for my white privilege card. So, that's why I work so
you got
hard.
one too.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Hodge Twins actually have one on their site.
Do they really? You can buy a
so
white privilege card.
So great.
Oh wow,
so great.
It's so good.
Jeez.
So funny.
You weren't offended before, you can be offended now.
Yeah.
Yes, feel free.
That's awesome. Please email us.
Yeah. I mean, we're hated anyways. We're white dudes.
Yeah.
Well, it's intentionality. I mean, it comes down to that. You have to be intentional with your time and what you do, and then the cool thing is you don't need an office, because if you had an office, they wouldn't have seen you.
Yeah, and that's that was the other blessing I saw in that. I was like, well, how about that? Like it was, we talk about intentionally working out in front of our kids when we can, but stuff like that is one of those ways where it kind of worked out the way it was supposed to. So,
Yeah.
So my office is in the bonus room now where the kids play.
There you go.
But it wasn't because of that.
because you kept having kids.
Because I've got this beautiful little girl that's coming up.
There you go.
Well, apparently you have a beautiful wife because you keep making babies.
Right. Well, I'm going to need to make her infertile.
Oh,
We
man.
just got to get
Speaking
your
of
kids
suffering.
involved. Like at our house, man. I like to cut wood and split wood, and we made a lean-to with my dad the other day, and just having your son involved and seeing what we're doing and putting in the hard work. And he's like, Is this work, Dad? And I'm like, yeah, it takes work to be able to do certain things, and I was educating him and stuff, and he always likes to participate and help and stuff. So
Yeah.
utilize it,
Dude, and stop thinking that when it gets hard is when you stop.
No.
When it gets hard is when you just got started.
So you turn it on.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that's when you actually start growing from it. That's when you actually start learning from it. That's when you actually start influencing people, is when it gets hard. If it's not hard, you ain't doing shit for yourself or anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And pray that it gets harder than you want it to be. Pray that it does, because it will have such an impact on your life. It will do so much for you. I was talking to my uncle this past weekend, and dude, his story is just wild. I won't get into it, but he essentially went from a very successful engineer to batshit crazy wife have no issue saying that. It's 100% accurate. Well, he lived in a certain state that has certain reputation that basically the government of that state wanted to get very involved with whether or not the parents even got to decide what was best for the kids.
Oh, wow.
And he's like a good dad. So, but it was anyways, he literally went to nothing. Like he went to, don't know if I'll be able to parent my kids. I have zero money because of how much it was cost to fight in court to go through all this BS. And he was not even fighting the ex, he was fighting the court.
Wow.
He was fighting the government. Mm-hmm. And it was just a crazy, crazy story, and he was telling me about it, and he's a man of faith too, but he was like, I look back now, and he says one of the greatest blessings in my life was going through. He says, it's the hardest thing I've ever gone through. I didn't know if I was going to survive it, truthfully. He said, but where it took me down to put me in a position that I could build from that was so much better than any foundation I had before. And I just think about that mentality of going, in the moment, awful. Like you would do anything for it to stop. Right. And just to have some kind of peace and joy or whatever. But after the fact, and if you're a believer like me and like us, you go like, God's plan is bigger than my plan. That's not always easy to hear, but after the fact, you see him now, he's got a new wife who's amazing, like amazing woman, and just as happy as he can be, a lot of joy in his life. He's got a great relationship with his kids. They're grown now. But it's just a whole different ballgame, and he's winning. But he's winning with a different. He had a good mentality before, but now he's coming to have a great mentality.
It's because he became a new man.
Yeah,
that's why great
sure.
things. It's the law of attraction, right? He became a great man out of that fire. That was the whole premise behind the Reforged.
So glad you mentioned that.
The whole premise behind the Reforged thing is because we understand that great things come through pain and suffering.
Yep.
Dude, I mean, and I don't care if you're religious or not. I don't really care. I think you should read the Bible. I've said this multiple times. Read the Bible. It'll actually teach you how to have a happy life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you believe in God or not, whatever you want to do, read the Bible. It'll give you some great lessons in life. But look at the apostles. Like everybody thinks these were like meager guys that walked around in robes and they just followed Jesus around. Dude, they went through some shit.
Yeah,
they did.
Dude, one of them was boiled in oil.
Yeah.
And survived.
Right.
And then went to jail.
And went out to do the exact same thing he got boiled for.
Dude, these were some bad dudes, man.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't no passive kind of shit. They were licking blood off their face and smiling in the enemy's face.
Yep.
Like, that's what they were doing. And that's the kind of stuff we got to get back to. And not to be a dick, but, man, when you believe in shit, like, believe in what you believe in and do it. Like, stop just being wishy-washy and going from one thing to the other and just like, oh, I believe in this. Oh, wait, I'm not allowed to because people attack me. Well, I'm going to go believe this. That's the problem with our society today. We've allowed people that are fucking out of their minds influence the entire culture because everybody's fucking scared to say anything.
Yep.
Stop
That's
caring
what
about what
pisses
other
me
people
off.
think.
That's what pisses me off, man. Yeah. I think people are good. I think in general, most people are good people. But we've gotten into a society where this mob mentality and this cancel culture that we have around us has just taken good people and beat them up so much that they don't want to say anything anymore. Right. And this is not the time.
And
this is not the time.
It's not the time. It's quite the opposite.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Like we need men to stand up more than ever right now. Yes, for the greater good of our country, but also just for your family, man. Like, just don't let your kids be influenced by the culture that's out there right now. That is that cancel culture, mob mentality. I'm offended about every damn thing that happens. Like, stand up and be a man and lead your family.
Well, be offended. That's okay. Be offended.
I don't give a shit.
I
Just
don't care. I really don't care if you're offended.
Yeah. Just don't be silent. That's the worst thing that the enemy
and
can
don't. Hey, we're not, and we probably do to a degree. Sometimes here we just get a little fired up and we have microphones, so it feeds our ego. But but don't be an instigator either. Like,
don't shake the tree just to shake it.
Yeah,
right.
But if somebody throws some fruit at you, grab it, take a bite out of it, and throw it back at them. But you're right. I mean, you're dead on. And on the bigger picture, men need to have that mentality. Men need to, in our opinions, and in fact, what is. This is what is right, and this is what is wrong. And we need to stand up for it, regardless of what anybody says, regardless of what's cool, regardless of any of that, whatever, regardless of what the news says, regardless of anything, what social media says. What's right is right. Yep. What is the truth is the truth. And if we keep rounding those corners more and more and smoothing that off, eventually you got bullshit.
Well, it's
too much gray.
It's where do you draw the line? Right. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. When you allow somebody to continue to push the lines, just like your kids, man. Like, when you draw the line has been drawn.
Yep.
And if I do something out of the way and discipline my kids in a situation where maybe I shouldn't have, I have enough of humility about me to be able to go back and say, hey, listen, dude, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I didn't realize that you didn't do that, or whatever it may be. But that line is that line, man.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point in time, when that line gets crossed, there are repercussions. But the problem is, we are so weak today that we continue to move the line. Oh, okay. So we'll tell people that they can't run their businesses anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we'll tell people that you have to memorize 27 different genders now, because if you say something outside of that, then all of a sudden now you're an evil person. You can't like Trump, because if you like Trump, you're automatically a racist.
Right.
You can't be a Republican, because if you're a Republican, you're a privileged white person. Like, at what point do you stand up and go, look, here, first of all, fuck you. I'm just being honest with you. I don't really care what you think. What I believe is right, okay? And in my opinion, fact, it is right. And all this silly shit that we're doing over here to the side, if you want to do it, do it.
And here's
absolutely do it.
And here's the thing about that, though. Like what you're saying, we're not even sitting here saying that everybody should think exactly like we think. No, that would be boring. And I mean, we'd probably make a lot of progress, but it'd be boring.
Probably.
But what we're saying is, be who you're going to be and stand up for it.
Right.
Yes.
But don't push your shit on somebody else, especially not me.
Well, absolutely.
I'm not telling you got to do what I want you to do. You do whatever the hell you want to do. That's why this is America.
Yeah.
Right. That's why we wanted it to be this way.
Yeah.
So you can be a dumbass if you want to be a dumbass, but don't bring your dumbass over to my land.
Right. But
Stay in your lane.
there's just a lot of dumb shit, you know. And I've had conversations like with this whole gun control stuff that now they're pushing every single time they get into office. It's now we gotta control all the guns and stuff like that, and all this stupid shit that keeps coming up. That's just like, dude, like. Just give it a rest, man. Like it doesn't even make any sense. If you look at the numbers, it doesn't make any fucking sense. And you think the guy that just went and shot a bunch of people gives a shit about what you think about what he can have in his pocket?
Right, exactly.
You're out of your fucking mind.
Well, the war on drugs has proven that.
Right.
I mean, if you want drugs, you're going to get some drugs. I mean, Hunter Biden's snorting Parmesan or whatever the hell he's doing now. So, if y'all hadn't seen that, y'all should check that out. That was mind-numbing.
I see what you did there.
But quick stats, and I don't know. You can fact check it if you want to. I mean, everybody's got a fact checker now. I guess they just whatever facts they want to create. But something I saw today, and I have not gone back and fact checked this, but feel like it's fairly accurate. Gun deaths in some year, I think it was 18 or 19, 2018, 19, maybe 2020, was like 260 something. Any kind of gun, not just AR-15s, any kind of rifle, I should say, any kind of rifle. 260 something deaths. Stabbings, people killed by a knife, over 1,500.
That doesn't
over 1,500.
That's just
over 5 times as many. Nobody's saying we get rid of knives. No, listen, by hands and arms and feet, by just like getting choked the hell out, over 600. Okay, it ain't about the guns,
right?
It's about control. And I know this sounds like we may be getting off topic from the original post that we read, but we're really not.
Right.
We're losing control because men aren't standing up going, that's bullshit.
Well, and not only that, but the men, and generally, I guarantee you, it's more predominantly men that are committing these crimes and these murders and stuff like that, are generally guys that are very unhappy because they're not doing what we're talking about.
Yeah.
They're not taking a ball to the face and continuing on in life. They take the ball to the face and then they become a victim and they shoot everybody on the field.
Right.
Right.
Yep. That's exactly right.
That's the difference.
Yep. Victims are ones are creating more victims is what they're doing. So, it got hot in here.
The point of the story is people going to kill people no matter what you do.
Well, the other point of the story is stop being a pussy.
For real. Well, I mean, look at that. That's 1,500 people in a year, 20 to 18. Like, that's not a lot. I mean, I know one death is too many and all that kind of stuff. I get that. But still, at the same time, it's like, hell, I can kill somebody with a rock.
That was the knives.
Yeah, the knives was worse than guns. And that's 200 and something. And it's like 200 deaths.
Worse.
200 deaths. I mean, we got, wars, people die more people die in the wars than that.
Here's my thing.
I mean,
if I went in front of finance in my job and was like, hey, listen, so I Paretoed this out, right? Pareto's basically showing your 80-20 rule, what your highest offenders are and stuff like that. I want to focus on the thing that's down here that's at like 0.2%. Over here. That's what I want to focus on. And I want, $80 million to do that. They would laugh me out of the room.
Yeah.
They would laugh me out of the room. They'd be like, what kind of Mickey Mouse shit are you trying to run here?
Yep.
But for some odd reason, in politics, it's okay. We
But
just
it's not
want you to see this part, but they don't show you the rest of the graph.
The percentage there is not even a point. Like, I mean, there's nothing there.
But what we need to talk about is heart disease.
Yes.
People not being
Cancer.
healthy.
Yeah,
Like, why are we not making gym memberships free for everybody and stuff like that so that people have access to gyms and people are like getting stuff at their houses or whatever it is? I mean, if you really want to make a difference in people's lives.
There you go. Obesity and all that. That's killing more people than guns
100%.
and all that.
Sorry.
So true.
No, it's true though. We
Side
need
shit.
men to stand up. No, it is, but it isn't. Like you said, we need men to stand up and man, we could just go on this forever. I'm gonna pause and I want to read one other one, so we don't get too far off track. This one's shorter, but it's a buddy of mine actually sent this over, and his tag on it was just savage. It says, I'll show you a picture of this guy too. Apparently, he's a real deal wrestler. I didn't grow up wrestling.
Most wrestlers are, dude.
You know, from what I've learned from JP and my buddy Phil and these guys that were legit, I mean, this is something that it makes a significant difference. But for those sports fans, coaches, and athletes who don't follow this sport, this is Spencer Lee. Last night, he won his third straight national championship. 8 days ago, he tore his other ACL. Yes, his other. He wrestled 3 days in the toughest folk-style tournament in the world with no ACLs. He, quote-unquote, toughed it out, understatement of the century, and won the whole thing. He never said a word. That was, remember, like he didn't, oh, my legs, look at me, I'm such a champion. And won the whole thing. He never said a word until he won, and the reporters wanted to know what was going on with him. He said, I didn't really say nothing because it don't matter. It's just an excuse, and excuses are for wussies. This sport is a little bit different. You should check it out.
I'm telling you right now, dude.
That's a mentality.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a mentality. And honestly, I can't remember the conversation I was having recently, but it was something along those lines of, what in the hell do the circumstances have to do with anything? So many people are so quick to tell you what their circumstances are. Well, we were gonna but this, or I was gonna but this, and we had this lined up, but this happened. And what does that got to do with anything? You might change your plan on how you accomplish your goal, or how you become who you want to become, or how you do the right thing regardless, but the circumstances don't really matter.
Right.
It nowhere on earth or in the Bible or anywhere else does it say, this is what you should do as long as the circumstances line up for you.
No.
It's not reality. It's just not reality. We need a culture, we need a generation of men that do what's right regardless of how hot or cold it is outside, regardless of what's on television, regardless of what you're getting called, regardless of how many times you get hit in the mouth with a baseball, regardless of how many ACLs you tear, regardless of if you like your boss or hate your boss. You do what's right for your family. You do what's right for your community, and you do what's right for your country. Period. Is that easy? Now, it's easy for us to sit here in the studio and say that. Not as easy to live it,
Right.
although that's our passion.
Mm-hmm.
That's our purpose, is to do that and be an example. But we're calling, I am personally, I came in here with this. I've been sitting on this for 2 weeks. Like, this is what it's about for me. This is what it's about for me.
And it just hatched.
It is hatching. It is about dudes going, enough's enough.
Right.
It's time to be men. We're doing Men Reforged because we believe we can play a part in helping that next generation think that way. We really do. By the grace of God and a lot of personal development and growth and stretching and suffering and getting hit in the mouth with baseballs and all that other shit and bleeding and licking it off and doing it in front of you just so you know how much of a bad motherfucker I am. That's what we want to do. And we will bleed together, suffer together, and then we'll party together and have victory together, right? And then we'll look at our next generation and go, we made it better for them, right? And thank God we all had people making it better for us. But we are past the time of going, that's okay. It's not that big a deal. It'll be all right. It's just one more day. It doesn't matter if I get that extra rep. It doesn't matter if I do this other thing. It doesn't matter if I read tonight. It's bullshit. It does matter. It does matter. I'm fired up as hell right now.
100%.
Fucking good.
100% agree with that. The greatest gift you could ever give your kids is a happy dad. And you will never be a happy dad if all you do is make excuses. And you can act like you are all you want to, but your kids will see right through that shit.
Another reason you'll never be a happy dad is all you do is make a living.
Mm-hmm.
Start figuring out how to make a life and make a difference. So, you guys got anything else to add?
You could have ended
I'm
it
about
with
to rip
that,
the
man.
damn microphone off here.
That was great, man.
So, all right, check out Men Reforged. Like we said, it's coming. It's going to be coming correctly, though. It's going to be coming the right way. The program is going to be lit, as the young folks say these days. And we are going to be welcoming a beautiful little girl into the Shepherds of Men family that is going to be highly protected.
Yes, she is.
And highly spoiled by my wife in the meantime. Check us out, shepherdsof.men, at shepherdsmen on our social media. Come join us, step up, be a man, don't be a pussy. We'll see you soon. You're a part of the movement.